Welcome to another episode of last week's Comics Today. I did not put these in any kind of order, so I think we'll both be surprised by what to talk about next. And we're going to start with World's Finest issue 4. So this is per the cover and per the last page of the previous issue. We've got Batman, Superman fighting Green Lantern, and it starts out entertaining. It's great. And then it ventures into just absolute ridiculousness. Some of the stupidest things I've ever read. But it looks great, because once again, I am a huge fan of Dan Mora. And he draws amazingly. There's no other way to put it. So as far as the story goes, there's Nezha is powering up Green Lantern. So he is magic infused, and thus he has an impact on Superman. Meanwhile, Batman is kind of taken out of the fight with a Nezha that's choking him out there. And then we've got Supergirl and Robin that are returning from the past when Robin gets dropped. Oops. So he's now lost in the time stream somewhere to be dealt with in a future issue. Here's the problem with the issue, though. We get to this, which is just dumb as hell. I don't like the design. He should have a ring on one of those fingers. That should maybe give you a clue about why it's so stupid. But, wow. The art's nice. It's an ambitious story, what Wade is doing here. He's really swinging for the fences, and it is occasionally quite stupid. It's the only way to say it, because that issue 1, I remember there's an entire page where Robin just recaps the first half of the book, and some characters do and say some stupid things, but it looks gorgeous while all of it's happening. So I'm not dropping this yet, but it is entirely ridiculous. Up next we have The Lonesome Hunters. This is issue 1, and I did not understand the title before, but after reading the issue, I get it now. And I want to show both you and Tom King how to swear properly in a comic. Here we go. So there's this guy who went to a store and now he's walking home. He is the lead from the cover. There are some local kids that start giving him crap on the way home, and this is his response, and it is poetry. So good. This is how you swear in a comic. This is how you swear in general, not whatever the fuck Tom King is doing. Anyway, this is great. I'm absolutely adding this to my pull list. It starts off in the past. We get sort of a history of the sword, which is really quick and surprisingly thorough. I mean, this is incredibly well written. So here is the sword. We get a bit of history there. We then jump to the present, and I really want to see where this goes. But so far, I am absolutely loving it. This is a fantastic read. The art is great too. I did show off some of that already. Here is a non-spoiler, a couple of pages. It's fantastic. Highly recommended. Up next we have Shaolin Cowboy issue 2, and oh my god, I want to show you this. There's a sequence in here. I mean, already, Jeff Darrow, no one else draws like Jeff Darrow, right? I mean, I think we all know that. Look at the amount of detail that's in this scene. This is incredible. I mean, it's also absolute insanity. But what I really want to show you is this. So, a flock of birds gets sent after a Shaolin Cowboy, and he murders them for pages. Good God. It is so good. It is a feast for the eyes. Story's thin. I don't know if you've read Shaolin Cowboy before, but the story is always a bit thin. There is plenty of narration for the events that are happening. The narration is led by a smaller version of this lizard, but it's... I don't know. I think you either get it or you don't, and I love it. Fuck This Place, issue 2. It is really called... I don't know if I mentioned this in the first video, but it's really called I Hate This Place. But if you have the option between I Hate This Place and Fuck This Place as far as titles and covers, I'm going Fuck This Place. And part of that is because I'm applying it to my work. So I do hate it, and I do think Fuck This Place on a daily basis, including the days I'm not working. Anyway, this comic is really entertaining. So our leads this issue go to a psychic trying to get help with the ghost house, and this is incredibly funny. Even just the introduction here is fantastic. Here is, once again, an example of the art. They did bring up this flat tire, again mentioned in the first issue. It's a really nice house, too. But then this whole sequence with the tarot reading, just pure gold. I love it. Then they return to the house. More bad things happen at the house. Imagine that. It is a horror story. Terrible things are happening, and the leads are trying to survive as best they can. Meanwhile, a bunch of other shit's going on too. It's great. Count Starks, I'm a fan. Ever since, I think, Rock Candy Mountain, but... big fan. Following. I'll probably follow him for the rest of my life. Kaiju Score issue 3. So I've mentioned this for each of the previous videos. This is a crime story set in a kaiju world, and we get a heavy dose of each of those this issue. I don't know what I want to show you. This should be concluded next issue, and this feels like a story that could have easily run twice the length. There's a lot going on here. It is both gorgeous and incredibly well written, but here we have, this is what they're after. So there is a ship inside of a kaiju, and a team is assembled to steal gold from that ship. And they are in Russia, and because it's a crime story, things go off the rails. There is betrayal, there's a lot happening in here, and it is all great. Big fan of this book. I hope somebody else is reading this, because really, they should be. Anyone that's a fan of crime books, grab this. You won't be disappointed. We then have the final issue of Homesick Pilots, and I've been a huge fan of this book since the first issue. It was a phenomenal first issue about teenagers and music and ghosts, and it has been more about ghosts than music for the rest of the series, and it became something about the government building a giant ghost-powered robot to fight a ghost-powered house. And it never lost sight of the characters at the heart of it, the teenagers, and this wraps up everything beautifully. There's something that I maybe should have realized earlier, but I wasn't thinking about it, and it's an incredible finale to a fantastic series. I'll show you this. So it is very well written, but also the art is phenomenal. Let me see if I can find... There we go. So here's a ghost fight happening. It's great. Highly recommended. Grab the trades, because there are multiple trades of this out. Probably 2, I believe. I believe there's 2. This should be collected soon. Get it. It's fantastic. Next up we have Jonna and the Unpossible Monsters. This is issue 10. It should be ending soon. I don't remember what the final issue is. Possibly 11. I know something is ending on a weird number like 11 coming soon. I hope it isn't this, but it might be. The series has always been about 2 sisters trying to take care of each other, in a world with giant monsters that regularly attack, and she is sort of superpowered and fights back. But a lot of the story is told through quiet moments. I'll show you this sequence here. So here they're falling, right? They were on top of, I'll just call it a kaiju, and there was a crash, and they're falling through the sky, about to land in these giant thorns, and there we go. So a lot of it is similar to that. It's these quiet moments, it's not a lot of talking. It is a lot of giant monsters though, and it is really well written. I will be sorry to see this go when it does. It's been beautiful. It's fantastic. Lastly for the week is Deadly Class issue 53. I just finished reading recently the trade that goes up through issue 52. This series is also ending soon. I want to read the final issues in real time so that I don't get spoiled on anything, but this is something that I've done before. I did it with Hellboy and BPRD, and I think Invincible I switched as well. So there is sort of a precedent to this. It's just at some point when I know the end is near, I'll switch from trades over to single issues so that I say it's about not spoiling anything, and there's some truth to that, but it's also really it's a way to fight the end, which doesn't really make much sense, but I just want to get it. I want to get it in my hands. I don't want to wait. This issue is great. So the previous trade, the previous collection, left off in 2006. This one takes place in 2008. You can see something happening here on the cover. This is within the issue, but what I really want to talk about is this here. So I was back in the office this week, and like the old days, I took my comics to work so that I could read them on lunch, and in the process I got this fold in the cover, which sucks, but it sucks because I wasn't taking care of my things. It doesn't suck in the sense of, oh my god, it's not mint anymore. I am a comic book reader and occasionally do some writing, so here I'm gonna mint some words. I don't really like the term comic book collector, at least as it applies to myself. I am a comic book reader, and collecting is more of a byproduct of trying to take care of the things that I own. So I read this and I got out of it what I wanted. The final version of this for me will be the collection that will go on my shelf, and this will, I don't know, something's gonna have to do it. But the fold is unfortunate, but ultimately it doesn't matter to me because, as I said, this is disposable. I read it, and now I'm done with it. It's going to wind up in a pile somewhere for me to deal with months from now, because that's what I do. I throw comics into piles. As far as pick of the week, I'm going to go with Lonesome Hunters. It is definitely not World's Finest, but Lonesome Hunters is a dense story, even with these quiet scenes of very little happening as far as dialogue, but the story is being told through pictures, certainly character development. It is really quite a fantastic read, and I've said fantastic multiple times in this video, but really Lonesome Hunters is great, and I do recommend it above all of these others that are also phenomenal books. Like everything, I would say, except for World's Finest, is great, and you should read it, and I hope you do. But Lonesome Hunters, getting pick of the week. So that is everything that I bought this week. As always, I get all of my comics from a local comic shop. If you don't know where yours is, you can use this URL to find the one closest to you. Thanks for watching.